What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's, I suppose it's a late night agenda, but it's the James and Craig show. That's what we need a name, James. We need a name.
Oh, we haven't even thought of a name. That's a rookie mistake from us, Craig. That's a proper rookie mistake.
It is. It's bad fun. We need a name. So look, maybe the chat can help us out on this one. What do you reckon?
That'd be phenomenal, to be fair, chat. And obviously,
about time you fuckers start earning your keep. Do you know what I mean? They're getting lazy, James. They need to start earning their keep.
You need to start moving your fucking weight, people. You need to start doing it.
Yeah, your hands are tied, people. Look, it's great to be back home, mate. Great to be back talking with you. It's been a few days since we last talked. A few bits and pieces have happened. Hello to everybody in the chat as well. As you can see, I'm back in my full setup now, so we can actually do things. I'm not just on my phone. Lovely to see you all in. Look, we got to start with the obligatory Manscaped ad read, James, and you know we wouldn't be here. It's Halloween. It's Halloween. There's a load of scary fuckers running around now. And what you don't need, mate, are your balls to be terrifying any women out there. So, if you haven't, go over to manscaped.com. Get over there. Check out the Performance Package 4.0 with the all-new incredible Lawnmower 4.0. The Weed Whacker rear and nose hair trimmer. You get your ball deodorant, your ball toner, your boxer brief, your shed travel bag, your 7,000 RPM motor. It's waterproof. It's got a travel lock and a light. I don't know what more you want from me, ladies and gentlemen. 20% off. Done. Free shipping. Done. Code WFM20. That's it. That's the spiel. That's it, James. Done.
Calm as you like. Manscaped. I was going to say Virgil van Dijk, but it just never worked out. I'm not as good.
I don't know if he does or not, but he does.
100%. And if Virg uses it, then you should too.
There you go. Look, let's start off with James. We'll have a little conversation around Mohamed Salah because it looks like we might even have a little bit of good news on the way here. So Football Insider reckon that Liverpool are prepared to give him 385k a week, mate. What are your thoughts on that?
How reliable would you say is the source? Like, are we chatting barbecue sauce or like are we chatting caviar?
Mate, it's more of a case of anything that goes towards him signing the contract, I'm believing right now. You know, anything that's positive around this situation, I'm signed up for. You know, if it was a transfer room, I'd probably be going, I don't know about that, but...
Here's my dilemma with the whole situation. So my dilemma with the situation is, I believe the only thing you do, not the sensible thing, not the wrong thing, the right thing, whatever thing that you like to label with it, the only thing that you can do in this situation is give Mohamed Salah what he wants, a new contract specifically. And whether that's 300k, 350k, or 385k, there's just not many people in the world that's going to be doing for our team for what Mohamed Salah does. Again, there's always that debate, what's harder to get, goals or a solid defender, like what's actually more difficult to, repair in a squad. It's up for debate, but both of them are very, very difficult, and I don't care if we get this. There's very few players who are replacing his numbers. I'm talking about the likes of Lewandowski, Haaland, and maybe one or two players in world football that we're not going to get. So why would you sell Mo Salah? So this is where these talks have got to begin. Whatever talks, because, we're Talk FC, Interest FC, friggin' Negotiate FC. What was the one that I think I saw on the Anfield Agenda page earlier? Be sure to go and follow that. It was we're in the front of the line. What line? The line at a nightclub where you're underage, so obviously you're going to get told to go to the back of the fucking line. Like, I'm not being funny or not, and that's what we end up doing. It's false hope all the time, Craig. So I just think they have to start, and they have to begin soon, because I don't want it to get to a point where it's getting to the end of the season and that contract hasn't been... I don't even want it to get to January and that contract hasn't been signed. I didn't want it to get to this point, Craig, so I'm hoping... However true or not true these rumours are, let's just pray that they are, for our own sake.
James, I've been getting the white marker out and getting on the missus has been killing me because I've been writing all over the windows trying to figure out some system, some way that I can justify not giving him a contract. And whatever way I run the numbers, mate. Now look, me running the numbers not the same as FSG running the numbers, but let me pitch you something. So, FSG don't know if Mohamed Salah will be alright to play 4, 5, 6 years' time. Right, I've got that sorted. Sign him on a new fucking contract. Give him his wages. And if nothing else, mate, it sorts out his resale value if you want to sell him in 2 or 3 years. It protects that value. And that's the part for me that makes this a no-brainer. Because, yeah, I can understand they might want to commit 350, 400 grand a week for 5 years for a player, but if he's not doing it in 2.5 years, if it looks like his numbers are waning, you've got his value protected, and there will be clubs that would sign Mohamed Salah. So I boxed it off, mate. I don't know what else to say. Get it done. It's done now.
The case is rested. The judge has already used his little hammer and just gone bam, bam. Do you know what I mean? Judge Judy settings. I agree, Craig. I think everyone agrees with the notion of what we're going with. Of course, you keep Mohamed Salah, and there's very few things that can go wrong here because he's not going to stop scoring goals this season or next unless he gets an injury, and just based off of the evidence, Salah doesn't get injured, so why are we going to go ahead, hope to buy somebody else who won't even play as many games? Like, even Neymar technically, yeah, he might be better than Mo Salah, but in terms of output and in terms of effectiveness, and on top of that, reliability, it's incompatible. Do you get what I'm saying? It's incompatible in terms of how often Salah turns up, and I mean, that's not me saying Salah is clear of Neymar. I'm just saying there's attributes that Neymar has.
I'll say it for you, mate. He's fucking clear of Neymar.
Salah absolutely has more attributes than... See, because you've got bigger balls than me, and that is why you go ahead and get Manscaped people.
Not them beans. Big Irish nut syndrome, James.
Big Irish nuts, yeah. Yes. We love it.
Do you know what? There's no way that I can make this not add up right in my head, and there's no way that I can see Jurgen Klopp letting this go. Now, look, I don't know how reliable Football Insider is. I don't. Yeah. You know, I don't know what to say to them, but I like reading it. I like reading positive things around the situation. It's much better reading stuff like this, James, than it is reading Mohamed Salah's agent has been in contact with PSG or Mohamed Salah is not feeling the love at Liverpool. This is much more up my street, mate.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because, you know, I hate seeing these Salah rumours. I hate the way that people have always tried to paint, even like a lot of Liverpool fans have always tried to paint him as a selfish player, someone who doesn't necessarily care for the club. Like, he was talking about Liverpool before he joined, and it weren't, you know, people think that we have just helped Mo Salah. Of course, we have massively helped Mo Salah, but Mo Salah has really helped us as well, and you've got to take into consideration the market that he brings along with him and the fact that he does actually make us a bigger club. In the current climate, of course, no player is bigger than the club's history, but in the current climate of what we need a star. Salah is a star. We missed a star probably since we lost Luis Suarez. Sturridge had the injuries. Mane obviously became a star, but he only had one season before Salah come in. There hasn't really been a player like Mo Salah since Luis Suarez in terms of output and in terms of effectiveness, and you see it on his face every single time he scores a goal. It's not just passion, it's love, it's wanting to win, it's will to win, it's wanting to die for the team. Maybe that's going a little bit too far, but I honestly would not question Mo Salah if he would go to them lengths, because every single time he puts everything out there, and he's improved his game over seasons. There's no signs of slowing down. And I don't think the money is that ridiculous when you compare it to what other players are getting. So I hope they're true. That's what I will say on the situation. I'm praying they're true.
I know there's one thing today around Salah that's been annoying you. We were talking about it just before we started, and that's the player of the month.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't look too much into them anyway, because there's always like little things about, like, even Mikel Arteta getting manager of the month and whatnot. I just think to myself, like, of course, sounds fair enough if you want to go ahead and do that, but I just think to myself, mate, Salah absolutely deserves player of the month. He even got the PFA fans player of the month as well, which obviously makes sense. I think he got 69% of the votes or 61% of the votes, can't remember what side it was. But it just kind of makes me think it's not even fans who don't give Mo Salah the praise that he deserves. It's, of course, the media as well. They don't talk about him the way they should talk about him. You know, you hear about Jamie Vardy turning up onto the scene late and winning things with Leicester. And, of course, Jamie Vardy winning the league with Leicester. Like, there's no achievement that could really compare to the craziness that revolves around that. But Salah, he's done the same thing and actually more. He's gone ahead and won us a Champions League. He's been our best player consistently for season on season. And in terms of output, he's put up the most numbers, and he doesn't get the same respect. And we might know reasons why, we might not know reasons why, but still, Salah should be not only talked about, he shouldn't even be talked about with the best of today no more. He needs to be talked about the best of all time that has ever graced the Premier League, no doubt about it. And I'm talking about the Sergio Agueros, I'm talking about the Thierry Henrys, and I'm talking about, even if you want to just go off players for one season like Luis Suarez, I'm putting him in there with that conversation because he deserves to be. And anyone who says otherwise, I will dispute any point you throw my way.
There you go. I can't argue with it. I don't want to argue with it. I love it. Let's go with it. James,
you can't argue with it.
You can't. You can try, but you fucking fail. We've got a game coming up 12:30 on Saturday against Watford, and the boys are playing tonight. Alisson and Fabinho playing tonight for Brazil late tonight, early into tomorrow. And it looks like, mate, that they're not even going to try and get them back to England for the game against Watford. They're going to send them straight over to Madrid for the game on Tuesday, because the lads have to quarantine for 10 days apparently outside of the UK or in a hotel in the UK. So looks like the plan may be lash them on a private jet, get them over and rest it up in Madrid before the game on Tuesday.
Okay, so they're not going to be there for the Watford game, but the Champions League game. Is it Atletico Madrid on Tuesday?
Yeah, away against Atleti on Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay, well that's really nice to know, because to be honest with you, I can live without Fabinho and Alisson playing against Watford. Watford, solid side, good players like Sad, and if you want to put Musa Sissoko in the good player category, then by all means, whatever helps you sleep at night. But I want that extra cover when you're playing against Suarez, and you're playing against Griezmann, and you're playing against Felix, and you're playing against these type of players where, you know, they've got more individual brilliance, Atletico Madrid, opposed to what Watford do. So I think having Fabinho and Alisson back for that game is key, and fair play to the club. But I also think it has a part to play bringing the Brazilians back, the fact that they just want Manchester United to have Fred back, and they're going to play him. So yeah, and they know that they're not better with Fred in there. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think that's the little plan that the clubs have got behind the scenes. But of course we need our boys back as well.
How are you feeling about this 12:30 kickoff of the weekend? They always make me nervous.
It's one of them. It's nice to get it out the way. ... If you win. If you win these games, then sound like brilliant. You know what I mean? I can have a nice weekend. I can get my feet up. I can enjoy the rest of the games, knowing that we're going to... Wait. No, we're not top of the league. Never mind. Either way, knowing that we've done everything that we can to rectify the Man City result, the Brentford result. And it'll be nice for that aspect. But if we draw or if we lose, then yeah, my weekend is going to be ruined, Craig. I'm going to be having 1, 2, 10 beverages in my near future. On top of that, I will be very depressed in my bed. That is right there. Probably watching or listening to sad songs. Do you get what I mean? It will not be a good scene at all. And if you see us draw and then you see Manchester United win and City win and Chelsea win even more, then I'm not being funny with you. You know, it just makes the previous two results all the more worse. And then it starts to get questions of, oh, will Liverpool actually be in the title race this season? And even though I believe we will regardless of the result, it's not what you want in terms of momentum. And kicking in now, you know, we started off the season well. You'd hope we'd actually be better now. Do you get what I mean? Now that we've had a bit of momentum and time to build what we think is the best team for this season. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm glad that they're back for the next game. But the 12:30 kickoff does kind of concern me, I suppose.
Here's what annoys me about it. I don't know if people are aware of this, but the Premier League consistently fuck over clubs playing in the Champions League or playing in European competition. And let me tell you why. So Liverpool playing at 12:30 against Watford. Atletico Madrid, their game was cancelled by La Liga this weekend, and to allow them prepare, allow the lads rest after the international break, allow them to prepare for the game against Liverpool. It's happened in the Bundesliga as well previously. They've cancelled it. But what do we do now? Fuck them. BT 12:30 on a Saturday. Not even we requested James to have the game moved to 7:30. And look, I don't blame Watford for saying no. They'll want any advantage they can get. That's fair enough. But the Premier League, yet again, not looking after their clubs. And they'll be the very ones wanting the English clubs to do well in the Champions League, to carry that product and to push the most popular league in the world. But they're not looking after the teams, mate, yet again.
Well, and this is where we talk about why Premier League can actually get so many injuries. Because one, it's the intensity, but two, it's these type of situations where you're forcing the players to play every single 2 weeks. Even, you know, the international tour conversation about playing more international tournaments or more frequent international tournaments. I just think it makes no sense when you already see the impact this amount of football has on players. And I know they get paid an extortionate amount of money to do so. I really, really do get that. So put your hours in and graft. That being said, people are people, and you can't really just expect them to play like robots and be there week in, week out when you're giving them this much. You know, this is the highest level, Craig. We're not talking about, like, you know, midweek we're just doing the League Cup every week and it's a different round against a team in, you know, the National League or whatever. You're talking about going from Manchester City to the likes of Atletico Madrid or even Watford, which listen, there's not one Premier League team, probably in my opinion, that don't have at least 2 really, really decent players. And that never used to be the case with the Premier League. There was many Premier League teams that didn't really have a standout star. They'd have to rely on system and putting so many men behind the ball, hope to get one on the counter and whatnot. Now, you're looking at Newcastle, who are relegation candidates, and then you've got St. Maximin, who can open a game by himself. A top-class goal scorer like Callum Wilson. Like, you know, that's the level. And to be doing that week in, week out for 2-3 times a week, then it's just, it's unrealistic. So I do think they do need to give the advantage to the teams like us, but like you said, Watford aren't going to give 2 shiny shites. They've got
it shouldn't be up to Watford, to be fair. If I was them, I'd say go fuck yourself as well.
Yeah, defo, you're mad. They've got a new manager, they're at home. They've had 2 weeks to train, whereas we've had most of our players going out on international duty. Like, of course, you wouldn't say otherwise. It's the Premier League, as you said.
And we even seen Thibaut Courtois coming out this week playing for Belgium in that 3rd-4th place playoff in the Nations League, saying the lads aren't robots. Like, the lads are knackered. They have an international break with 3 games last month. Some of the clubs or some of the countries another 3-game international break this month, and then we've got another one next month. And that's before the lads are off to the AFCON in January. And then they're talking about, as you said, making the World Cup every 2 years as well, and you see them trying to push that one through it. These lads, you know, people give Klopp, Solskjaer, Pep Guardiola stick for trying to protect their players and talk about player welfare. There is none. It's quite simple, mate. They're 100%. Just trying to you know, I don't want to be going too far here, but they're right. These managers are right. And look, we all select them off because one week it'll be Liverpool who are getting screwed with the early kick-off and opposition fans will have a goal. The next week it'll be United and we'll all pile in. But look, at the end of the day, there is some truth to this. And these lads are at the top of their game as managers for a reason. They know what they're talking about.
Well, on top of that, Craig, as well, we talk about how, you know, as time goes by and as football science gets better, the longevity of these players will exceed anything. But let's be real with ourselves. How can you expect players with that schedule when you include the international tournaments and like look at what Pedri done? I mean, well, we can even touch on Pedri later in the show with his new contract clause, but look what Pedri done in the last season. An 18-year-old playing for his team, Barcelona, who was struggling week in, week out, and then going and playing week in, or well, near enough every game in the Euros for Spain, and being one of their better players, then going to the Olympics with Spain, and then go back to Barcelona with about 3 days break. It's unrealistic, and we think to ourselves, oh, that player never reached his potential, that player. Well, maybe because they needed a year or 2 off with people, and not everyone's
seen it with Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney,
over a longer period of time. Exactly. 100%. Many more players that you can add to that list, even Daniel Sturridge, you could throw on that list. It's just, injuries are serious, do you get what I'm saying? And then we expect these players to come right back after an injury. Look at what Van Dijk's just been through, and he's already back. It's straining mentally, and it's also straining physically, more so than what people think, even with all this sports science. So I think if it keeps going this way, this notion that we're going to see longer careers, it's probably going to be bollocks.
You touched on Pedri there, and I don't know if everybody in the chat knows. I see a couple of people in the chat mention it, but he's about to sign a new contract. Friday, I believe, is the day he signs it, James. And a little bit of a release clause increase, I think it's fair to say.
Just a bit. Only a bit.
Just a billion. Just a billion.
Just a bill. Craig, not much. Listen, you can picture that in one room. I could fit that in my room. Easy. It's insane. I am a couple of years older than Pedri. I never thought I'd ever be worth it. Like, do you know when I think, like, one day if I'm worth something? Couple mil, I'll take that. Because that's fancy, do you know what I mean? Better than a couple grand. Pedri,
happy days.
My man has just gone, right, I am $1 billion. Are you mad?
And do you know what the funny thing is? We're laughing at this, but nobody thought that they would pay the Neymar €250 million, whatever it was, back in the day when PSG came in and paid that ridiculous buyout clause. So, you know, $1 billion buys you 3 fucking Newcastles, James.
It's got
3 Newcastles.
I was just about to say, it's got fucking Newcastle written all over it. It's got Newcastle written all over it, mate. And I'll tell you now that Geordies will be looking at that price tag and thinking, hey, we can actually pay that. That's not for us, you know what I mean? Whereas us Liverpool fans, we're thinking, oof, we're struggling to get a £50 million signing over the line at the minute, let alone a friggin' and £1 billion signing. Yeah, we're not going anywhere near that. I don't know how anyone does. And isn't it going to be like a 5-year contract, 6-year contract? And best believe Barcelona will keep Pedri. They will keep Pedri like for the whole time. You know how stubborn he can be. So, that's madness.
Look, he's a great player. I mean, look, he won't give a shit what the buyout clause is if he's happy enough with the money he's getting paid. He's 18, 19 years of age, and as you said, burst onto the scene this year. I think they signed him, if my memory's right, from Las Palmas, if my memory's right. I don't think he came through La Masia. I think they signed him from Las Palmas, and the view was to put him into the reserves, but he got his opportunity, and he's after doing bits. And look, we've been linked with somebody else today, James, that we've been linked with for a while. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I really like the look of this kid. So there's an article coming in from a journalist called Alexander Breckman, who said that Liverpool are at the front of the queue to sign Jeremy Doku, somebody who we've been long linked with, has been shown around Anfield previously when he was, I think, 15 or 16 years of age. They actually, Anderlecht got Romelu Lukaku to talk to him, to convince him to stay there for a few more seasons. He has done. He's done really well. I like the look of this kid, mate. I mean, he's got Liverpool written all over him.
In terms of the style of play that we've got, absolutely. And also, I am fine with getting Doku, but not in a year's time. When I say a year's time, I mean, like, we can get him in the summer, but if we don't get him in the summer, I don't want him at all. Because here's me reasoning. I want him to be I believe Doku is a good player. Right now, I think he's a good player. And he's only 19, so he's got room to become a world-class player. What has Jurgen Klopp done with most of his players? And let's be honest, Mane wasn't exactly a spring chicken. He wasn't old either, but he came in at, like 24, 25? Salah, very similar age. Firmino, same. You know, like these type of players, they were never 19-year-olds. I want us to buy Doku, so then we have got an option from when Jurgen Klopp leaves in 2024, God forbid, because honestly, it's going to be a sad day. I want to make sure that we've got someone who is used to the system. So then, when we do get a replacement in manager, Doku is already an established player, worked under one of the best coaches in his probably peak learning years. You never stop learning in football, but these are probably the years where you take the most in and you're actually working on your craft. He hasn't necessarily been at like a top world-class club yet, so he's got a lot to learn. And I just think it makes sense to do it now. Otherwise, I think if it goes anything beyond that, then I probably wouldn't take him, just because there's not as much time to embed him into the team. You probably want to try and get more of a first team player if, like, say, for example, Mane continues bad form, or if we sell either Bobby or Mane. So get him in now, in my opinion, and I'd take him.
I love him. I've been wanting this guy for a while. He got some minutes in the Euros in the summer. I really like the look of him. And you know, we often speak about Liverpool not being reactionary around transfers. And this is a kid we've been tracking for 3-4 years at this point. So it makes absolute sense to me. Right profile, probably the right price point. Probably talking about 30 to 40 mil, I'd say, probably makes for the sense. Kid. And then, as you said, we may then see either Mane, Firmino, or somebody else move on to make place in the squad for him, and again, you're refreshing the age group again.
100%. And here's the thing as well, people associate Liverpool with an old squad, whereas when you actually compare our starting 11 and some of our best players to other teams' best players, it's actually not the case. Like, Fabinho's 27, Salah's 28, 29, but just in great condition. Then on top of that, you've got like Alisson, who for a keeper, he can go for another 5 seasons. But then even if you go beyond that, you've got Jota, you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got Curtis Jones, you've got like these type, you know, Shimikas, who's 24? Something like that, and he's looked brilliant over recent. Like, I really think Shimikas is going to become a top-class left-back. Great scouting from Liverpool there. And then Kate Gordon, you know, like these type of players, you know, even if you look at our under-23 squad, you will be surprised at how much talent is there. You've got Leighton Stewart, who's... Yep, Tyler Morton. You've got that Muliowski. I always say his name. Muliowski, what, you know what I mean? My G, you know what I mean, from Poland, I think.
Connor Bradley.
Connor Bradley, of course. And then I think even if you go below that to the under-18s, you've got Leighton Stewart. Now, he's injured at the moment, but all the way through youth academy level, he's just been a lethal finisher. Proper goal scorer. Yeah, Pitaluga, good goalkeeper. We're not as bad as probably what people think, but it is always good to get them refreshments like Doku, because if you buy Doku in now, you've got Doku and Mane to compete for a position which you never know could bring out the best of both of them, which is exactly what you want. Like the way it's bringing out the best of both Shimikas and Robertson. Do you get what I'm saying? It's these type of comparisons, or these type of not competitions, but you need to compete for your places in the squad at the end of the day, just like the way Kanate does, and the way Gomez has to regain his place back in the squad, because Matip is undeniable right now. So competition is nothing but good, therefore that's why I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, look, again, it's one that I can see a lot of potential in, because often I look at transfers and I think, oh, he doesn't really fit the bill for FSG, or he doesn't look like a Jurgen Klopp type of player. This kid does. And actually, somebody who's moved to Liverpool broke down has been speaking as well. I don't know if you've seen this, but Nabil Fekir has been talking about his broken down move to Liverpool. So he said, everything was closed. I passed all the interviews. I spoke with Jurgen Klopp. He told me he loved me. We did it all. When we were about to sign, then there were problems with my representative and the negotiations broke down. They said it was because of my knee, but the truth has been proven over time. My knee is super good. What do you think of James? Because in me, my thoughts on this is that there was a greedy bastard, someone looking for extra money, and the club told him to get fucked.
Probably, and your assumption is probably right, to be fair. I think with Nabil Fekir, would have I took him? Absolutely, because if you look at that summer as well, we bought, was it Fabinho that we bought that summer? Wasn't it? If I'm correct, like Alisson, Fabinho.
Yes.
If you add Nabil Fekir to that, I think he would have been a great player underneath Jurgen Klopp, because we talk about the style of player that Jurgen Klopp likes and Jurgen Klopp needs. Nabil Fekir is one of them. You know, you look the way Harvey Elliott's playing right now and the way he's getting embedded into the team. Nabil Fekir, he would have had a very similar role, that he can play across the front three, but he can also play in the midfield, and that just gives... We know what Jurgen Klopp needs. He needs versatile players who can play well in multiple positions. That's what he brings, and on top of that, in terms of the type of player that he is, he was very exciting. So we lose Felipe Coutinho, then you bring in another creative player in Nabil Fekir. At Lyon, people don't understand. He weren't just someone who got goals and just created. He was someone who looked good doing it. So he would have been, I think, a very likeable player. Do you know, like the way youngsters and young lads, like between the age of fucking 6 and then 10, do you know what I mean? Like when they have superheroes, I think they'd actually like Nabil Fekir more than maybe even Salah, because even though Salah gets the numbers, I think Nabil Fekir would get more nicer looking goals and he would do well in certain things. And under Jurgen Klopp, I think he'd do great. It's a shame the way his career's gone since, but I don't think that's due to the player. I think that's due to many bad decisions made around the player. Do you get what I'm saying? Like what you said, that could be a big possibility. But
another one of the things was... There was talk as well that, I don't know how true this is, but there was talk around wanting to sign his brother as well, or bring his brother with him. Because apparently his brother is on the books at Real Betis now. I don't know too much about his brother, to be honest with you, but there was talk there that they wanted a contract for his brother as well. Again, don't know how true it is or isn't. You've probably heard 10 different stories about why he didn't sign.
Do you think Nabil Fekir would have ever got into the Liverpool first team on a consistent basis? Because let's just break it down, and obviously there's alternate reasons, but we haven't really saw Thiago guarantee his place in the first team. And hear me out, Thiago was fit at the beginning of the season and he weren't starting over Harvey Elliott. Naby Keita hasn't really been able to get a consistent run of games since he joined Liverpool. Let's be real, Jurgen Klopp tried in a way replacing Gini Wijnaldum. Would have Nabil Fekir actually got into there when Henderson looks nailed on, Fabinho looks nailed on, and then on top of that you've got someone else?
Probably a bit of a luxury player, wasn't he? Like Coutinho. Yeah. Like he's the type of player that I was a little bit surprised when I seen Jurgen Klopp linked with him, because I don't think if Coutinho was not Liverpool when Klopp arrived, Klopp doesn't go out and buy him. He's not a Klopp type of player. He's a luxury player that's lovely to have. You know, in a Klopp system, if you have that option off the bench, that's the way I was seeing Fekir there. Probably play 20, 25 games a year. I wouldn't say he'd be doing 40, 45 games a season. I think, you know, he'd probably have had to manage his knee, because whatever he says about his knee, I know that he has to have training breaks because of his knee. I've read enough articles to know, and the way that knee was rebuilt was apparently quicker comeback from the injury, but less length of time that it would actually last compared to the other way. Now, look, we all became experts on horse blood and horse plasma and all around this time as well. If you remember, there was some mad stories doing the rounds. But what I will say is, I think if the club look back at this now, they made the right decision, because he's done all right at Betis, but he hasn't lit the world on fire.
I don't think they did, Craig. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they would have got a much better version of Nabil Fekir. I think it's very easy to say. Like, you can even see how it's went for certain other players since they've left the club as well. And there's not many where it's gone great. You get what I'm saying? Whereas I think for Nabil Fekir, if he was to join Liverpool, I just think it, you know, under that management, then, and the only reason why I think he's at Real Betis opposed to like a more of a top level side is based on the fact his coach, or not his coach, sorry, like someone behind the scenes like that works with him, whether it's his management or whatever. They've just made a bad decision and it just never worked out in the end. But it could have been anything, but the deal was done. He spoke to the manager. I believe everything that he's saying there. So I don't understand, you know, it's been proven that it weren't.
We've seen the photos, didn't we? We've seen him in the kit, like.
what was it? Because regardless whether we think it would have been a Jurgen Klopp player, there's a lot of people that we probably bought that we didn't think would be a Jurgen Klopp player, then ended up doing very well.
James, I was fucking heartbroken when we didn't sign Fekir at the time. I thought that was it. That was the last piece we needed. And there was loads of people telling me all summer we're not going to sign the two lads and go and sign Fekir. And I thought, nah. But they were right in the end, man. It just didn't happen for whatever reason.
Do you know what the intrigue is for me? Is that I got to see 6 amazing months, or it was maybe 5, of Coutinho, Salah, Mane and Firmino, which was a joke of a fantastic 4, which just obliterated teams. It was exciting. If Salah weren't scoring, then it would be Coutinho or it would be Mane, and we just had options. And even if you weren't going to play it down the wings into Salah and Mane, which is how we score most of our goals, you've then got Coutinho who can change the game on his head. It just makes me wonder that Nabil Fekir could have maybe come in and done a similar thing, or gave us a similar threat. And now that I'm seeing Harvey Elliott in the side, I feel like that's what Klopp was going with all along. And I also feel like... I
love Harvey, man. I love that.
I love Harvey to bits. I really, really do. And he's going to be great when he comes back, and I don't even dispute that. But that is why I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? Maybe Klopp saw something that we just all didn't, and we just thought Nabil Fekir was going to be a good player. Maybe, do you like this rock and roll football that kind of went for a minute? Maybe that's because we had to play Genie more, because Genie's still a great player, do not get me wrong, but he's not that offensive. He can score goals, but he's not actually that much of an offensive player. He's someone who can retain the ball fantastically well. He can do a job defensively, but his best attribute is just controlling that midfield, staying stabilised, energy and stuff like that. Nabil Fekir could have been a different problem, man, and we could have been playing some much more exciting football for the case of it.
A few little bits of housekeeping, ladies and gents, before we push on to the next topic. Firstly, I want to just remind you guys that tomorrow I'll be joined by Paddy Murphy and Chris Stonage from LFC Transfer Room. We'll be having a chat around everything ahead of the weekend. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video as well. We're pushing on. We want to. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to fucking take over. I want this channel to just take over LFC content, because we're bringing you James Pearce. We could be getting Mr. Gill back, by the way. We're talking with Jack Gill. Shout out to Jack if you're watching, mate. We love you. We miss you. There's also Chris, Paddy, Steve as well. We know you love a bit of Steve Bland, James.
The dream team, lad. Oh, Steve. Oh, lad, don't even start with Steve. He's the greatest man on earth. Greatest man on earth.
He's a top man, isn't he? He really is.
No,
he
honestly,
gets a bit of stick, man, because people think that he's a shill. People say he's an FSG apologist. He's not. He's just sensible.
Their opinions doesn't matter. Listen, I think there's a lot more people out there that like Steve, and I think a lot of them people will be sensible people, because Stevie's someone, even the way he does the marathon and stuff like that, that just takes a brilliant, different type of person, someone with proper courage, and he's also he's very respectful. I like people like that, you know what I mean? Some might say it's a pushover, but I think it's actually beautiful to give people the benefit of doubt a lot of the times. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So the fact that he kind of backs everyone, I like it. You know what I mean? I have time for that 100%. And even though we might not agree on everything, it's just it never gets heated. You get what I'm saying? He says his point, and if we disagree, then it's just like, okay, and he just has a smile on his face, and that's why I love Steve, man. So make sure people that you're showing Steve love opposed to anything else, because he wouldn't deserve that.
Absolutely. And look, I'm feeling generous. I'm home from holidays. We talked about at the start of the show. We need a name for my show with James. So if anybody comes up with a name in the chat that I use, I'll send you a 20 quid Amazon voucher. Just send me your email address and we pick one out. And I'll send you an Amazon voucher to say thank you. Because I don't like taking shit for nothing, but I'm not the most creative person in the world. So we need somebody to help us out there. It's
got to be Bosch. Can't just be no average Joe nickname. Like, this has got to be sensational. So make sure that you get your thinking cap on. I'll do the same as well, because I might take the voucher messing. Even if I get it, it will do like something else to give it away. Either way, let's get this done, people, because we do need a better name for this show.
I'll never forget the message you... I think it's the third on our own, I think. I'll never forget the message you sent to me when you sent it to me like a few weeks ago. You said, let's give the people what they want. And that fucking hit home with me, man. I just said, yes, James, that's it,
well,
fella.
so many people have said it over time. Do you get what I mean? Like, even we've mentioned it. People thought that there was some sort of issue. Like, there was people who would come on my live watch-alongs and be like, James, do you like Craig? Because he's never do content together. And it's like, absolutely not the case. We've just never spoke. I like his content. I go on there, I leave a little like, and I watch quite a bit of it, you know what I mean? I love his work rate. I think he brings a lot. Even when you were having your issues and, you know, we didn't know what was going on with you and on this channel, I sent you a message and I was like, whatever happens, obviously I wish you the best regardless of your next stage, but you bring a lot to this platform, my mate, and I think we're just a lot better for having the likes of you on here. So I like to give people credit when they put the work in and they put the time in, and you've done that. You know, if you look at your channel 2 years ago, it won't be as good as it is now, because you've built it up over time and you've worked hard for that. You've built an audience, you've built a community, and what's not to respect about that? I respect people who work hard, and like I said, you bring a lot to what I think is the platform of all LFC channels, and you help everyone. So yeah, man, big up yourself, and I'm made up we got this show done, and I hope that the people, I hope I was right, and that the people did want to see it, because I'm enjoying it. You get what I'm saying? I've loved every show since I've came on here, so thank you.
Oh man, it's been loads of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I love chatting to everyone. I love chatting with Jack. I love chatting with you, Steve, Paddy.
It's a hobby.
It's great. It's great.
It's a hobby. You know what I mean? Like a show by yourself, it's great to interact in the chat, but I feel like there's just something different where you can actually talk to someone who you'd actually get along with, and you get what I'm saying? It's just like a chat in the pub without the bevy and on a camera. But it's nice though. It's nice to just get you forgetting about all the bollocks in the world that goes on. It's good.
Speaking about the bollocks in the world that goes on, another article here from our friends at Football Insider. Again, take this with a pinch of salt, but it said
I thought that was going to be another Manscaped. Another Manscaped.
No, I'll save that one to the end. I'll save that one to the end. So apparently Liverpool are reportedly showing an interest in Leeds United midfielder Calvin Phillips, and it also goes on to say that Rafinha and Meslier are also being tracked. Now, look, I don't see why we'd be tracking Meslier. 1, signed a new deal with Leeds this season. 2, we've got a fine young goalkeeper in Queevy Kelleher, Gianluigi Pittaluga coming through as well. But the Calvin Phillips one, I have to say, man, I can look at that and think, right, well, that's Jordan Henderson's replacement there.
Sorry, Craig, you might need to replay that question to me. Some of these names are priceless. Wait,
go on. I like the two Mouthy Reds one, by the way. That was funny.
Yeah, that was a great one, but get on this one. Bald and the Bold.
Not too bad.
That's acted. Whether we choose that or not, just know that is a legendary shout.
I don't. Do you remember that there was an old show called The Bold and the Beautiful? Do you remember that show? It was an old sitcom. We could call it The Bold and the Beautiful.
I'm sure it was great though.
I'm sure American viewers will probably know that one. The Red Outfield. No, that's a bit.
Yeah, it's one of them. Do you know what I mean? I just saw
it needs to be a fuck off, fuck you title. That's what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like.
Defo. Sorry, what was the question, Craig?
I was just talking about Calvin Phillips. What do you reckon to him being a potential Jordan Henderson long-term replacement?
Ooh, probably would not be too against it, but I don't think... It's weird with Henderson. He brings so much to this side. I really do get it, but he's not world-class at any particularly one thing. He's just very good at multiple things, and also... He has phenomenal decision making, which is why you see the likes of, you know, who have better technical ability than Henderson, the likes of Pogba, not play as consistently well. Because one, it has the fact to do with he's in a worse system than Henderson, but on top of that, it's the fact Henderson's decision making is just phenomenal at the end of the day, and also the way he plays as a utility man. And when I say utility man, someone who last season he filled in at centre back, he can play in most of the positions in the midfield. He's shown us in his time. He likes to be an offensive midfielder at times. He can defend, he can hold the bit, and he can fill in the roles for other midfielders. So say if Nabi's playing, therefore he's going to be more advanced. Henderson can fill there. Trent bombs forward constantly. The Krames show, the Dub and the Scouse.
I was thinking the Scouse and the Stew. That was when I seen that. I was thinking the Scouse
and the Stew. And we need like a funny
robbed
intro.
Their Irish stew. Here's one you like, James. Where's it gone? Hang on, not this one.
Let's have a look at who in the Scouse. He knows me. That means he watches my content, because I just sometimes do a little Conor McGregor accent every once in a while.
You'll do nothing.
You'll do fucking nothing, yeah. I love it, lads. I'm all for it. I actually want my wife to be Irish. I don't know who my wife is going to be, but genuinely, like, one day, I would love sincerely for my wife to be Irish. So I'm going to be making a trip down to Dublin soon. Anyway, Calvin Phillips sounds, but I think in the future, what you go with someone that brings maybe something different. But that is not me taking away, like, we're going to miss Henderson, because of course we're going to miss Henderson when he goes. But I think it's about adapting to it. So whoever you do get, don't really mind. But I think he will probably be a decent little replacement, because they do play very similar.
I've seen United linked with him as well, actually, because they're looking for somebody around that part of the pitch, you know, because I think even after all these years, they're finally starting to admit that Fred's dog shit.
I was having a chat the other day as well about Fred, and it was like a Fred Henderson debate, and for some reason it just ended up being a Fred Henderson debate, and I was like, how the hell are we talking about Henderson versus Fred? Makes zero sense. Like, there's no comparison, because even though you might think Fred presses more, doesn't matter, it does not make you a better player. And on top of that, is he consistently good as Henderson? No. And on top of that, you know, you're seeing the fact that his decision making is terrible. If you haven't got good decision making, then that is only going to negatively impact the team. There's a reason why we win more with Jordan Henderson, because he doesn't fuck up in the midfield. So, you know, you look at our most embarrassing defeats, like Aston Villa 7-2. Henderson doesn't play that game. Like, it's just, I think to myself, it's massive. And the likes of Fred, he's not a top-class midfielder. Henderson wasn't a top-class midfielder. He has became a top-class midfielder. That's the way I like to see it.
There we go. No ifs, ands, or buts, just Liverpool
No
there
ifs,
from Scott as well.
Yeah, that's a shout as well. No ifs, ands, or buts. I do sometimes wish I said that one.
Bit of good news, actually, around injuries. We have Jones back, which is great news for the weekend. The Curtis Jones is going to be available for the game, which is a plus because... Yes, Jota's going to be available as well. Spot on, yeah. He's been available, which is great news, because, you know, when we seen him getting sent back from international duty with that injury, we were thinking, and he didn't actually play. I know we spoke about this the other day. He didn't play against Qatar in that game. I did research it, actually. He never actually played any minutes for Qatar. The Qatar that Ireland battered, by the way. You know, I'm just putting that out there.
It's like the best team in the world. Lads. You let them know, bro. You let them know.
The lads put on a blue shirt. I don't know if you seen it. They put on a blue shirt, and all of a sudden they're fucking world beaters.
Claim it, yeah. Claim it. Yeah. Nah, that made up for man like Kelleher, though. Is his first name Quiveen?
Quiveen. It's the Irish word for Kevin.
Quiveen. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
All right. Oh, that's mad, that. Because I used to think it was Kyo Min.
My daughter, I'll tell you about it. My daughter's called Circa, and her name is spelled S-O-R-C-H-A. So we're going through passport control, and you know that we've got your masks and all on. So he's like, Sabrina, my wife pulls down her mask, and Lucas, my son, jumps up, pulls down his mask. Craig, pulls it, and then he just goes, and you. No clue about how to pronounce a name. And you.
And you.
I said, when my wife said to me, I think we should call her daughter Circa, I thought she meant, you know, like C-I-R-C-A is in circa 200 square yards or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I never even, apparently it's the Irish name for Sarah, but there you go.
Yeah, that's mad, that. See, do you know what's crazy about that, yeah? Like, when you compare Irish people to Scouse people, like, there's some similarities in it, but my ma just sat there and was like, fuck it, James. Whereas you all come up with, like, Quiveen, and the spelt mad. Like, who spelled Quiveen like that? Quiveen, you know what I mean? Like, you shout out to the Irish, who might make the fucking rules, but it just wouldn't make no sense to me. It's crazy.
When we go through school, you'd have your English name and your Irish name, and mine's the fucking same both ways, so it didn't make any difference. But I'd have mates who were called like Kevin Power or whatever, and it would be Quiveen Power. So, you know, you get your Irish name and your English name, but yeah, mine just sounds the exact same. But yeah, Quiveen, it means Kevin. So his name's Kevin Kelleher, if you wanted to call him that.
I wish we had. I wish Liverpool had like an English name and a Scouse name. That'd just be boss.
Yeah, they're so similar, Irish and Scouse. This is why I never get to understand the hate that goes either way, because we are basically the same fucking race of people, man. You know, there's no accident that the boat landed in Liverpool from Dublin, and as Carragher's, Rooney's, Redmonds. Do you know what I mean? It's not an accident, mate. It's because we are riding at and that moved over there. Simple as.
No, that's what I mean. A lot of people have Irish blood in them in Liverpool as well. That's one thing that you'll notice a lot, like people's nans or great nans being Irish. Like, it's crazy. Even the Bitters have a few fans over here, believe it or not. No, I could imagine. Honestly, I really, really could, because again, like this family that these linked. Do you get what I mean? So it's just, it makes sense for it to be 100%. That's why looking through the game on Saturday, you do, man. You need to get over, but I tell you what. It's expensive, James. I won't lie to you, man. It is expensive over here. Like, I've seen people in Temple Bar after 11 o'clock paying 11, 12 quid a pint. A pint. That's crazy, isn't it? Well, that's the nice thing about Liverpool, man. We're a lot cheaper than that, you see, Craig. It's one of them, if you know where to drink, you'll be alright. But if you go into Dublin and you go to Temple Bar, which is, you know, fucking full of paddy whackery, do you know what I mean? Like, there's dwarfs running around and leprechauns and Turler a lad. Come in here and listen to me fiddling while you're at it. There's 12 quid for that pint of Guinness there, fella. Whereas if you walk 7 minutes up the road, you get it for a fiver, 5 or 6 quid, like, so. That's more up my street, to be fair, a nice fiver for a pint.
Bag of cans in the field is more up my street, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to be fair. There was a few times before in sixth form, like them days when like we say we'd be finishing or whatever and we'd all meet up. That's something that we'd be doing, but I probably prefer that than being all squashed in a nightclub and frigging or a pub or whatever. Do you get what I mean? Sweating your bollocks off, at least, you know. If you're outside, you can actually enjoy a little bit of fresh air and a nice bevy along with it. There you
go. A couple of flagons of white lightning, nothing wrong with it.
Standard.
Right, what do we think for the game of the weekend? So trying to put together an 11 to take on Watford. Obviously, Kelleher probably going to start in goal. What are we thinking from there out?
Right, so very interesting way that you can go with this, because you can go with left back and then you can look and you can definitely say Robbo, because Robbo has been the starting left back. However, Tsimikas is not going down without a fight. He has had a great international break, as did Robbo, to be fair, and he's played well every single time he plays for Liverpool, and it makes you think, does Klopp have a, like, I will start you for this game and I'll start you for this game, and it doesn't mean giving them a game each, but whoever he thinks is more suited to the style of player that match, because you've got to take into consideration, Tsimikas gets involved. He doesn't hide in games. He wants to go ahead and put crosses into the box, and he actually does it very, very well. He's got a great technique on him. So I wouldn't be sad to see Tsimikas, but I'd still edge Robbo, and then the rest of the team, Verge, Matip, Trent Cozzy's back as well, and then the midfield is where I think it gets interesting with the likes of Curtis. So you've got to put Curtis in for me. Curtis, Henderson in the holding role, because there's no Fabinho, and really, who else would you put there? And then you can ask a question of, would it be Naby Keita, or am I missing someone?
Milner's the only other one I can really think of there.
Milner, it probably will be Milner for the balance, but I would not be opposed to seeing a little Naby Keita and Curtis Jones partnership. Just see what it's like.
Be interesting to see what way he'd set them up, because they both prefer being on the left side of that midfield. So it'd be interesting to see who he'd shift across. You'd imagine probably Curtis.
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, if you was to start Naby, then you could probably put him on the left-hand side of the midfield. Because I've heard Klopp talk about how Curtis can cut in and do that long shot off both of his feet. And he's very good with both of his feet. So possibly if he trusts Curtis more on the weaker-hand side, then he might as well put him on the right-hand side, so I could see that happening. And then for the front three, but I do think Milner's more likely to start, by the way. But the front three, I'll go with Mane, Salah, and then I think he might go with Jota. I think Jota's got the starting place. That's the way I see it, based on the way the season's gone. I think he's got it.
I wonder if because Bobby was at Kirby throughout the break because he didn't go on international duty, Jota at least travelled away, came back. It is interesting. It'll be interesting to see which way Klopp goes, because you could make an argument for either.
100%. I think Jota's dropped off a little bit, but I still think there was a lot of games where Bobby dropped off. Do you get what I mean? I'm not saying Bobby's bad. I want him to stay at the club and I want him to find his form. And he's had a lot of good games recently, but I think Jota just seems more inevitable at the moment. If he gets a big chance in the box, he's more likely going to score that chance. So that's why I probably prefer Bobby more as someone who's going to come off the bench, do what he done against Porto, try and chip in with a couple of goals.
Nothing to be said for Chamberlain?
No.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't either. And I see a few people in the chat mention him, but I've got to admit, I'm starting to run out of patience with regards to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, he's slowly edging towards the I would sell him category at this point. And I don't like saying that because I love Chamberlain.
I love him as a person, but he's already in that category for me, Craig. He's already, like I said, let's sell him in the summer, because let's just look at it from this point of view. Now you've got Harvey Elliott as a midfield option. I know he's injured, but at the start of the season, you've got Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones. You let go of the most reliable midfielder that you could in Gini Wijnaldum, but then you've still got Naby Keita, Henderson, Fabinho. Like, and Oxlade talks about how he wants to start. So I'm actually looking at this from both parties. It looks like that Ox's best days in a Liverpool shirt is behind him, just based on evidence, and it's so unfortunate because, of course, injuries have a part to play, but it still is a factor, and it's still just the truth of the matter. So does he go above any of the midfielders we've got? No. I'd rather invest more into Curtis Jones, who's younger, as well as Harvey Elliott, who is younger, because there's more of a higher ceiling there. Then even the likes of Naby Keita, very, very similar issues, but the argument's high here for Liverpool fans debating Naby or Ox. I'd like to hear what you have to say about it, Craig, but it's just that Ox, because he had that great period in 17-18, he hasn't really had a great period since, with all due respect. A lot of good games, but not as many as we should want for a player that was 40 million. Now Naby's 50, but he's a bigger investment. He's also younger, so wouldn't you want to try and give him the extra year opposed to giving Oxlade one? Especially when Naby Keita's value is still probably higher than Ox's. Ox's is dramatically going down. 2 seasons ago, you can get 30 million for Ox. Now you're looking at around 15, 20 million. And that's
I'll
really
be with you.
it.
I think Keita should get the nod if we were to go between those two, because both can give us something different in and around the penalty area. But again, I talk about relationships around the pitch, and Mane and Naby Keita, they're on the same wavelength for me. So I'd go with him. There's one in the chat here I want to pull up. Actually, 1 second. Craig, why are Liverpool looking more at Isaac? This is the only reason I can think of. So we were linked with Isaac of Sociedad, and obviously Sweden scored again during the international break. But before the Euros, they wanted to renew his contract. He had a €70 million buyout clause. They've since renewed his contract, and I can only imagine that Sociedad have increased that buyout clause, because we know Spanish clubs love a crazy buyout clause. And he looks like a decent player. We did look at him, but I just think it'd be too expensive, James.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Isaac looks like a great player, but I don't think he's the player that I want to see. If out of all the options, I probably prefer Adeyemi based on value for money, based on the fact if it doesn't go well, he's still got resale value there, and on top of that, I just think he'd suit Jurgen Klopp more than what Isaac does. Isaac's good though, but as a finisher, I probably think Adeyemi's better. Do you get what I mean in terms of an out-and-out finisher? But that's not to say Isaac can't become a world-class player. He's already on course, but you've got to talk about styles and what suits your team. I think Isaac, he's more of a target man. He's got pace and he can get in behind, of course, but I think he's more of a target man than anyone else. I think Adeyemi, he'll give you a little bit more energy, and he's a lot less money than what Isaac will be, as you said. It just doesn't really fit what we probably go for.
I just get the feeling with Adeyemi that he wants to go to Germany, because I've seen him linked with Dortmund, I've seen him linked with Bayern Munich, and again, I don't disagree. For me, it'd be a no-brainer. 19 years of age, doing really well at the minute at Salzburg. They lost Patson Daka. He's come through, and they don't miss him at this point. Like, he just looks like an absolute quality player. Scored another couple of penalties, I think, in the last round of Champions League games as well.
Okay, can you fucking blame him? I'm not being funny. Look at Dortmund. Literally, look at the roadmap of what's happened. Who did Dortmund sign from the exact same... Wait, Haaland played for the same club, didn't he? Salzburg?
Yeah, he did. He came through Molde, then Salzburg.
So there we go. Now look at the roadmap. So you go to Dortmund. So Dortmund approach you, and you've seen over the years they've brought through the likes of Pulisic, they brought through Aubameyang, they brought through Sancho, they brought through Dembele, Haaland, one of the most lethal strikers in the country. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they don't just buy players, they make players even more better. It's why I love Dortmund, because they're very similar to us in the aspect they don't just go for the hot shit, they don't just go for the best player at the time. Even Daniel Marlin, he's no one's number one choice, but they know that they're going to be getting rid of Haaland, and they feel Marlin would be a suitable option. But I think Adeyemi should look at that and be like, well, Dortmund are probably going to give me more game time than Liverpool will. I'm probably going to develop more there, because look at the way they've developed players. And then, that's why I don't think he'll go Bayern, because if he really wants game time at the top level, he'll probably get more. He'll definitely get more at Dortmund. He might get more at us. It really depends how we set out our team. But I agree with you. I think there's an element where, deep down, if he could have it his way, he'd go back to Germany. But I think if he was to go to Germany, then he has to go to Dortmund. But I'd love him. I really would.
There's a lovely little niche that Dortmund have carved out for themselves there, isn't there? But with the likes of Daniel Marlin, with the likes of Haaland, with the likes of Jude Bellingham, with the likes of maybe Adeyemi, because I've seen Liverpool linked again with Jude Bellingham this week and another few publications, but I don't know. Look, I want the kid at Liverpool. I think he'd fit into our team perfectly, but I imagine he's going to cost a lot of money if Dortmund look to move him on eventually.
And a lot of money is not what FSG like to spend. So therefore, Craig, I hate to do this every show now, mate. I feel like it's becoming a reoccurrence, but listen, therapy is a very important thing. I'm going to look down the camera as I say this, Craig, my G, love you very much. Honestly, we're not getting Jude Bellingham.
Can you hear that? It sounded me heartbreaking there. If you listen really carefully, you just hear it break and shattering into a million pieces.
100%. And listen, and here's the worst thing. If we do, and your dream comes true, it's going to be at the cost of a big player leaving. So it doesn't really... matter for me. I would love Jude Bellingham, really, really would. He'd really sort out our future, but I think it's at the cost of someone like Salah leaving, or not necessarily Salah, but just a big player where you've got to or say Mane and Bobby. Imagine if both of them went at once, Craig. That'd break your heart as well into a million shattered pieces, wouldn't it? Do you get what I'm saying? But of course, it's just how you look at it. I don't see us just going out and buying them without selling any players.
The only other player I'd seen us really mention with this week, and I think we touched on it on Monday, was Dusan Vlahovic of Fiorentina, who's, I think, 22 years of age, Serbian international. I know he scored, I don't know if he scored during the week. I did, he scored 1-0 winner, I think, against Luxembourg, if my memory's right. I haven't watched much of him, I've got to be honest with you. I've seen the links, but I don't watch much of Fiorentina, mate. I struggle to watch Serie A at the best of times, let alone watch Fiorentina, so I've seen a lot of good stuff about him. Again, I can see a lot of reasons why Liverpool would be linked with him. Right age profile, probably the right price point. Pretty well established at this point in international as well. I don't know. What are we saying, chat? 22 years of age?
The thing is, when it comes to age, like even look at Shimikas for prime example, someone who's 24, but I think he's got a lot of years to go ahead and develop. Age is different for everyone. Like, it's weird. That's just the way football goes. Like, even Chiesa, who, by the way, I would snap in a heartbeat if we could possibly get Chiesa, 23. So when you look at these type of it would make sense for him or for Liverpool to want to go ahead and get him, even if he is 23. But when you think about Vlahovic and the type of player that he is, he's quite a creative player. He can hold the ball. He's an aerial threat. He's a great finisher, but you can't really say that he suits Liverpool's system. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like he's just a more mobile version of a Benteke when we got Benteke. Just someone who's going to move more. He might create a little bit more, but he's very much a target man. He's not someone who's going to suit the style of play, and I don't think he's as good on the ball than the likes of Bobby Firmino, and I think whoever we should fill in that position has either got to be an elite finisher in all aspects, not just heading, not just your right foot, like good left foot, good right foot, and you can score from all different angles. You got to look at it from these things. When I've seen clips, and yes, they are only clips, so I don't really get the full story, but I just don't see someone who's a lethal finisher. I see someone who's a decent finisher, and I want more than that for someone who's going to play at the number 9 for Liverpool. Listen, Craig, this is not a serious, this is not a joke of a position. United fans bang on about that left wing or the right wing where, well, this player's played there, this player's played there, so we need to make sure that we've always got someone bossing that position. We need to treat the striker role like that then, because we are literally known for having a world-class number 9. Bobby, in his own right, is a world-class number 9 for completely different reasons to all the rest. But Torres, Suarez, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, may I go on, Ian Rush, like, you can go even further back, and that's what we're known for. So I want to make sure the person who does come into that role isn't going to be someone like Vlahovic, who I don't think suits our system, and it's going to cost a lot of money anyway.
I'm always really nervous when Liverpool sign anybody from the Italian leagues, mate. It always makes me nervous. I don't know if I've been scarred by what happened when we got rid of Xabi Alonso and we brought the little prince in, but it always worries me, mate.
No, I agree. And one last thing, just to end my point, Vlahovic is 22, so even though that's young and it could work out, if it does go bad, there's not as much resale value there, whereas say if you get Adeyemi who's 19, Doku who's 19 or 20, whatever, if it doesn't go well for them, there's resale value there, because you'll know after 2, 3, 4 seasons whether they're going to be good enough. And if they haven't turned up by that point, they're only going to be 23, 24. There's resale value. Vlahovic, he's going to be 26, 27. Not as much resale value. There's a big difference between 24 and 27 in my eyes, because you're still looked at as very much a youngster, whereas when you start hitting them ages, it has a part to play in value. So I just don't think a lot really makes sense about this signing if we was to get him.
I don't believe it, mate, but I looked up, the hour's gone past us already. I don't know where the fuck it went, mind you now, but it's absolutely gone, yeah.
That's a
58
joke,
minutes.
That's
flown by. Another absolute blast, man.
Means we're having a great time. Do you know what I mean? Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. And look, what's coming up on the channel over the next few days. I'm going to record my preview. That'll be out tomorrow for the Watford game. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, myself, Paddy Murphy and Chris Stonage from LFC Transfer Room are going to be going again. Mr. James will be back with me on Monday along with Steve Bland, of course. We'll be back for another Cop of the Week show. And again, we were brought to you tonight by that beautiful company in the top right-hand corner of your screen. WFM20, 20% off free ship and anything at manscaped.com. And your balls will thank you. They absolutely will. My balls are always thanking me.
And do you know how they will say thank you? In sign language, this is how your balls will thank you. That's
Do you know what I
thank
mean?
you in sign language.
There you
So,
go. Whose hand that is?
If you want your balls to say thank you in sign language, get on it, people.
There you go. 20% off, free shipping. Don't know what else to say. James, it's been a pleasure, my man. Another one's absolutely flown by.
I want to just say before we end the video, thank you so much to everyone who watches these videos, the community of this channel, which was a great community regardless. Like, it's really welcomed me. They've really made me feel like a superstar. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And another great episode in the bag. Another one bites the dust there. And I look forward to the next one. So big up yourselves.
Big up you, man. It's been great having you on board. And again, we want to give people the opportunity to show what they can do. And I love chatting with you. I love chatting with the lads, and it's just fun. And we need to do more of this type of stuff. Everybody needs to reach across the aisles and just start doing a little bit of stuff together.
We are stronger together. That's the way I see it. We're stronger together.
There we go. Ladies and gents, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like on the video. Get over and check out James Redmond TV as well. Make sure to drop a sub over there. When are you going to be live next, James?
I will be live. Probably for the Watford game. But obviously everyone will be here. So, but let's just say if you've got 2 screens, then you can whack on the James Redmond TV watch along as well. Otherwise, we've got a video coming out tomorrow. And yeah, keep an eye out, people. James Redmond TV. Appreciate it.
Happy days. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you to James. Thank you to everyone that's commented. Don't forget, if you can come up with a name for the name of this show for me and James, I'll send you a 20 quid Amazon voucher. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments as well. So if you're watching this back later on, lash it in down there below. Look, we'll be back on Monday. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. We will talk to you soon.
Wait.
Go on.
Don't click on the damn thing. We might have found it. Scouserish agenda.
Scouser-ish. I like it. The ish.
Ish is working. It makes it. It mixes well. It's a thought. We're putting that in the hat. Skyrish agenda. Skyrish, yeah.
Look, lads, it's been a blast. I'm going to head off and record that video. It'll be out tomorrow. Thank you to James. Thank you to you guys for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.